Hello everyone, welcome back for some more Let's Play the Great Ace Attorney Adventures / Chronicles. It's up to you. It's up to you which we're doing. We're on investigation part 2 of us being framed for murder, which we didn't do. And in fact, I think I've pretty much already solved everything. She probably has a snake in the case and went up and it bit him, and now he dead. Why he speak Russian? That's the thing I don't know. Why did he write it in Russian? We don't know. I wish we hadn't been thrown out like that. Literally thrown out, we were told. I wish we managed to find some clue as to what that speckled band might be. We didn't manage to investigate at all. And I imagine that we won't be able to for a while longer. We'll never get past that sailor guarding the door. He's clearly glaring at us as if to say, don't even think about it. Oh, wait a minute. What is it? Well, what happened to our great detective friend? Where did he go? He just kind of blends into the world, it seems. My man doesn't really feel like he's bound to the laws of physics. He can just arrive in rooms whenever he wants, like a specter. Oh yes, he's completely disappeared. When did he do that? He slipped away as quietly as the wind, but not before ensuring that these were securely back on my wrists. Oh, well. Hello, sir. I really wish we'd have a chance to look around in Miss Pavlova's cabin.
What? Why you look like that? You want something? Maybe. You want me to throw you out again,
Oh, no, definitely not that.
Next time I have to throw you out, I'll show you where lobsters spend winter. Understand?
Understand. Maybe I should steer clear of him until he's forgotten my face. I don't think he'll ever forget your face, Naruhodo-san. Oh. Well. First class cabin number 1. Yes, that's our cabin. Not our cabin. It's Kazuma-sama's. Sorry? Your accommodation is confined to the wardrobe inside the cabin. You know how to make a stowaway feel small, don't you? As small as the wardrobe I've been calling home. Anyway, I wonder if Inspector Hosanaga's managed... Oh, right! I wonder if he's managed to uncover any new clues. Yes, we should probably find him and ask. Completely forgot that he was in there. Well, let's go. We don't know this guy's name, which is very suspicious. It's incredibly suspicious, actually. It looks like they're still investigating in here. Yes, on that subject, I wonder if Inspector Hosanaga is unscathed. What do you mean, unscathed? Surely you haven't forgotten, have you, Naruhodo-san? Don't you remember what he said about allowing you out of this cabin to investigate? He was going to talk to the captain about it. He said he'd lay his life on the line for you. Oh, yes. But I'm sure he was exaggerating. Let's see what he has to say for himself. He might have some new information for us. You never know. Well, first off... Oh! Man's looking a little beat up. Just a little. Just a little. Just a little bit. Let's talk with you first.
You! Where did you go?
Oh, sorry. I just went to the next door cabin to invest.
Why? Who gave you permission for this?
Well, Seaman Hosanaga did.
That new Japanese, was it? Later I will roll him into a ball and throw him in cold room.
Whew, he's gone back to guarding the door. Hope Inspector Hosanaga doesn't find himself in too much trouble on our account. We literally see him beaten and bruised in the corner. He's really gone out of his way to help us, hasn't he? When we get back to Japan, we'll have to take him for a steak at La Carnival. That could be a very long time from now, Naruhodo-san. Oh, buddy. Not looking too hot. Oh, pal. You're back. Inspector! What happened to you? Your face is...
Please, don't worry about it.
Buddy.
They're just scratches.
Made by a bear, maybe?
When I told the captain I'd given you permission to investigate, he told me he'd pummel me with his fists, then toss me overboard.
What?
But the pummeling was over in a flash, and he must have decided against throwing me overboard. So it was nothing, really.
It looks like he wasn't joking when he said he'd lay his life on the line if he had to. Well, thanks to your efforts, we now know a little about the neighboring cabin.
Yes, so I understand.
Oh.
I bumped into a man claiming to be a great detective a little while ago. I think his name was something like Herlock Sholmes. I don't think he was German, though.
That explains it. Shall we compare notes, then? We can tell you what we found out.
Yes, let's do it.
Oh, buddy. Cabin next door.
What? Nikolina Pavlova. She's in the cabin next door?
Oh, do you know who she is?
Please! What self-respecting ballet fan wouldn't know that gracefully?
Oh. Okay. Well, that's a character trait I didn't expect. Yeah, you do that. I don't have to do that. Oops, I think I upset him there.
Well, that tells us the neighboring cabin is unrelated to the case, at least.
Oh? How?
Because angels don't go around committing crimes, do they?
Oops, nah, I've definitely upset him.
Inspector, has your investigation here proved fruitful? If I'm honest, there's very little more I can do. Our duty is to make sure the scene isn't disturbed, ready to hand over to Hong Kong police. So I'm just keeping watch here, trying not to take my eyes off the job.
Oh, I see.
There is one thing. I do have a small piece of new information for you.
Oh, what? Yes, do tell us, Inspector, please. Alright, well, we'll do the Great Detective first, then do the other one, because that's how I usually do it, is I leave the new ones till after. Oh, Mr. Sholmes was here, was he?
Yes. He seemed to be enjoying himself a little too much as he crept about on the floor investigating. But then he suddenly left. I suppose he must have become bored.
Did he say anything at all?
Actually, now that you mention it, yes. Just one thing, but he practically shouted it. That's a new expression. It's shoe polish, was all he said.
Shoe polish? I wonder what he meant. Oh, is that the black stain, maybe?
It was when he was over there, by the piece of broken glass. Do you see it?
Yeah. Perhaps he was talking about this brick-colored mark, do you think?
Yes, that must be it.
But how could Mr. Sholmes know it's shoe polish?
That leaves me cold, I'm afraid. I have no idea.
What is it, Susato-san?
Well, Kazuma-sama was wearing leather shoes with a very dark tan hue.
Dark tan? That's my dark tuber name. That's the name of, like, when I act out of character. And I'm on the dark tuber wiki. That's a whole thing that I think about often. But I feel like nobody does. I feel like we've gone past that phase of the world, and yet I still think about it. Dark tan, sort of dark brownish red then. Yes, a little like the color of red wine, but darker. I often repaired them for him. Oh, does this mean that this mark was made by the polish on Kazuma's shoes as they scuffed on the floor? The mark on the floor has been entered into the court record. Alright, new info. What's this new information you have, Inspector?
It's this. The Buria's medical officer has finished his examination of the body. I managed to obtain the report. Oh, Kazuma's post-mortem report?
Kazuma-sama.
So, what was the cause of death? Damage to the cervical vertebrae. Is what's written on the report. So, spinal injury? Oh, sorry. I don't know the body. That's the neck.
His neck was broken.
Yes, it would seem so. There were no obvious wounds or other signs of injury. So at first, I think they were considering poison. But it turns out they found no trace of poison in his system at all.
Well, what weapon was used then?
Well, that's strange. How would... This makes it seem to me like dude tripped and choked himself and this feels to me like he tripped, his headband got caught on something and it broke his neck. Right? Nothing has been found as of yet, but the fact that there are no signs of a wound suggests it may have been a blunt object. Oh? Something that wouldn't leave a mark. Oh, I see. Well, that's even stranger.
All the body's nerves run through the spine to the brain. A strong enough impact to the neck could induce death. It is a possibility, and no obvious wound would be left.
Poor Kazuma. I have a second copy of the report. If it might be useful, you're welcome to have it.
Really? Are you sure?
Yes, it's fine. I trust you.
Oh.
Buddy, after all, if I didn't trust you, I'd never have agreed to you leaving this cabin in the first place, would I?
Oh.
Oh, she's... giving the cause of death as a cervical spine injury. No traces of external injury or poison. That's really all I can tell you at this stage. I mean, what I can do, though, is I can... 1 a.m., a little past 2 a.m. No external injuries. Strong blow to the area. Male, far eastern. Okay. I should return to my post. My fellow crewmen's eyes are boring into the back of my head. Yes, that might be for the best. Thank you.
Poor Inspector. You look exhausted.
Oh, no. Well, I feel terrible that I failed to protect Asogi-san. He was my responsibility. Of course, my pain is nothing compared to yours. You were his friends. The truth is, I seem to have had a heavy head ever since I woke up this morning.
A heavy head?
Oh, that's interesting. My head's still throbbing too.
Huh.
Anyways, anything new for us to look at, really? Well, this has been updated, I guess. This ventilator joins to Miss Pavlova's chamber. Sorry, I keep saying chamber, but it's cabin. Why do I keep wanting to say chamber? Yes, that's right. And just a few minutes before he died, Kazuma saw something emerging from it. The speckled band, as he described it.
If only Miss Pavlova had been able to shed some light on it, but she seemed as baffled as we were.
Yes, I wonder if she's telling us everything, though.
I'm not sure.
I know most people aboard would say the same thing about me, but there was something about that woman that didn't sit right with me. This is where Kazuma spent his final moments, writing his diary. 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. It looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. Looking at his writing here on this page, it's almost impossible to believe that he's gone.
Kazuma-sama left us a valuable clue in these words, I'm sure of it. We have to solve this mystery, Naruhodo-san. We will. That's nothing. This is something we can look at again. So it's clear that these letters were written with the ink that was somehow spilt on the floor. And they spell the Russian word for wardrobe. It does seem to be an unambiguous pointer to you, Naruhodo-san, as you were sleeping in there. But to be truly unambiguous, it should have just spelt out my name, don't you think? Well, either way, one fact remains. It's hard to imagine that Kazuma-sama would have written his last words, or word, in Russian. Which begs the question of who did write it. I mean, someone could have picked up his hand and wrote it on there, for him, after he died. All the books provided for passengers occupying this cabin, neatly arranged on the shelf. They were all over the place when I first looked around, if you remember. Oh yes, and you tidied them up, didn't you? You have to look after the ship's property. Unruly behavior in the cabins leads to damage. But it really wasn't me who knocked them over. Well, anyway, I feel much better now that they're neatly lined up. I can't relax when things are untidy. Can't be me. It really is such a beautiful color, this glass. It looks like whatever it was has broken clean in two. But the other half is nowhere to be seen. And then there's the brick-colored mark, which is shoe polish, according to the great detective you seem to all know about. I suppose it must be from Kazuma-sama's shoes. Maybe, but what I'd like to know is, how can the detective be so sure that it's shoe polish and not something— he tasted it, probably. Because he's a great detective, of course. That's hardly a reason, is it? He probably just put his tongue right on it and was like, yes, very. I can taste it. It's very, shoe polishy. Yes, I see. Wonderful. Okay, well, that's pretty much it, huh? God, what was the situation here exactly? Okay, so let's see. So it does kind of hint where to go when you have the things saying like what's in each of the rooms there, which is a welcome thing that I've never seen before. Ah! Look, Naruhodo-san. Seaman Stroganoff has gone. Strong enough? The burly Russian sailor is always crossing his arms and glaring at us. All these Russian names are impossible to remember. Hello? Tra-la-la! It's Captain Underpants. Oh my god. Did you hear that? That sounded like Captain Underpants. Sound like someone singing. Tra-la-la, lira-lira-lay. I did it. Oh my god. Oh my god, I didn't actually— I was thinking that it was going to be her. But it turns out it's our boy. I did it the great detective way. This caroling. I know that lark-like voice. Well, never mind that now. This is a golden opportunity for us. Yes, you're right. We must seize it. Let's get inside Miss Pavlova's cabin while we can and investigate. Definitely. But before that, Stringy Knot crew comes back. It's Stroganoff, not Stringy Knot. Alright. We can get in here. Is he singing in here? That wasn't on the ground before, was it? Oh, the case is open. Miss Pavlova isn't back yet. Sasato-san. Oh, where's she gone? Hey, what are you doing? Those are her private things. There's not a moment to waste, Naruhodo-san. We must investigate as quickly as we can. Why are the— oh, we didn't clean up the shelf, that's why. I suppose you're right, for Kazuma's sake. Not just for Kazuma-sama. What do you mean? It can't be long now until we arrive at port, in Hong Kong. I don't want you to be in those handcuffs when we get there. Really? We must solve this case, Naruhodo-san. By ourselves if we have to. Yes, we will. Well?
Women's clothing.
Naruhodo-san, are you there? Sorry? I'm right here, yes. Why? Oh, good. I thought you might have climbed into the wardrobe when I wasn't looking. There's no place like home. Believe me, I don't have some strange compulsion to jump inside every wardrobe I see, you know. But what if it means her wardrobe? Well, anyway, I'm not sure anyone could fit inside this one. It's full of beautiful outfits. I suppose they're all stage costumes. I was rather hoping we would find Miss Pavlova's friend hiding in there, but no such luck. No? Nothing? Nothing for that? Are you serious? Okay. What's with this plate? I wonder what this little saucer is doing on the floor, acting all saucy. Yes, it doesn't look like it's been dropped. More like it was put there deliberately. Do you think there could be a leak in the roof just above here? What? A leak? Is this ship quite safe? I'm sure that even if there's a little leak in the roof, it doesn't mean the whole ship is gonna sink. I mean, what's one little onion gonna do? No, you're right. Of course you're right. She's really trying to persuade herself, isn't she? Tea? It would seem this teapot is empty. So the natural conclusion is that the Russians are a very thirsty people. Or, because Miss Pavlova only came in this cabin last night, she hasn't had a chance to make any tea yet? I mean, it could be either. It's definitely that they're excessively thirsty. I'd lay 1,000 to 1 on it. You're rather obstinate, aren't you, Naruhodo-san? Yeah. When you bet big. All the books have toppled over together. Look, every single one. Do you think that it's a god of the sea, perhaps? He's toppled too, though. It's exactly the same as the bookcase next door. In Kazuma's cabin. Perhaps. Perhaps Miss Pavlova was practicing a difficult ballet pose and fell against the bookcase? I don't know. Would she really be practicing ballet on the same night she ran away from her ballet company? Alright then. It must have been you. You lost your temper and knocked them all over in a fit of rage. Not everything bad that happens on the ship is because of me, you know. Boy, she keeps coming back to that, huh? Well, anyway, I'll set them all straight again in here, too. That's leaving evidence that we were here, but okay. Okay. Cool. Thank you for leaving evidence that we were absolutely here. Always check the garbage. I suppose every cabin has a waste paper basket. Shall we have a little look and see what's been thrown away? Naruhodo-san. It's poor etiquette to go sifting through someone's rubbish. You always check the trash bin. It's the rule. Those eyes. Just looking at me like I'm a piece of rubbish now. Piece of rubbish? However, these are special circumstances, I think. Exactly! We have no choice! There's hardly anything in here at all. Oh, well, that's a little disappointing. One day, I will keep looking. What else you got here? Oh my, Miss Pavlova's case is open. Okay, I wanted to check the thing before that, but okay. It's completely empty inside. But according to the great detective's great deduction, she was hiding her special friend in there. Yes, a friend that she had to keep secret. Because you're not allowed to bring animals aboard the SS Buria. I wonder what kind of animal she had in there. And more to the point, where is it now? Okay. Okay, that's what I wanted to click on. There are just a few books on the desk. Nothing else by the looks of it. Well, Miss Pavlova only ran away from the ballet last night. She's hardly occupied this cabin for any time at all. That's true. I wonder what kind of books she likes to read. Let me see. Yes, I see. It would seem that Miss Pavlova enjoys reading books written in Russian. Thanks. I think I probably already knew that. It's rude to ask too much of people, Naruhodo-san. Kindly remember that.
What's her bell do? There's one of these next to the bed in Kazuma's cabin, too.
Yes, it's a bell cord. I can't resist. She barely hesitated there, and she gave it a good tug, too.
Nothing again?
No, I didn't actually expect anyone to come.
We don't want them to. We're trying to investigate in secret. Door? This cabin door is the same simple sort of bolted latch that our cabin door has. The bolt's drawn across. There's no anybody could enter the cabin from the outside.
Yes, it's not a particularly heavy-duty bolt, is it? But still, it wouldn't slide across of its own accord, would it?
No, and the door's made of metal, so there's no chance of trickery using magnets to unbolt it from the outside.
And it seals up perfectly, too, to stop any seawater coming in. So you couldn't use the method you told me of passing a thread through a crack used around the closed door either.
I seem to know a lot of tricks for opening doors. I'm starting to see why they suspect me. Rules? Ah yes, they're displayed in the cabin too. Look, the SS Bury has rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden.
I suppose Miss Pavlova realized that she needed to keep the contents of her case a secret after she read this. Her special friend, I mean.
I wonder where her friend has disappeared to now. Probably having fun exploring the ship, I imagine.
I just hope Seaman Stroganoff, stop calling it that, doesn't find it and throw it overboard.
Oh, yes, so do I. What else are we missing here? I feel like we've checked basically everything. Rug? No. Nothing on the floor. Thank God for the check mark. Oh, of course, the grill. So this is the ventilator. So this ventilator connects to Kazuma's cabin next door.
Yes, although what a fool a shipbuilder must be to open a ventilator into another room. Ah, maybe. It's that if there's a gas leak next door, the occupant of this cabin would notice and raise the alarm. Or the occupants of both cabins would die of gas poisoning.
Huh, that is a possibility.
Anyway, last night, Kazuma wrote that he saw a speckled band coming out of this ventilator.
Okay. Alright. I feel like we've checked everything. I don't see anything else. I still don't trust this pipe thing. Okay. Yeah, I feel like we've got everything. Yeah. Okay. Move. More time investigating here? Okay. Oh, hey, buddy. What's up, my friend?
Oh, it's Mr. Sholmes, look.
Wow, you never know where he's gonna turn up next, do you?
He seems to be stealing a look at something as he sings to himself.
Tra-la-la, lira-lira-lay, I did it the great detective way. He's still singing. Do you think he hasn't noticed us?
Or he's simply in extremely high spirits?
Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yacht bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, when there was doubt, it's lucky Herlock was about. Excuse me. I solved it all, and I stood tall. Oh my God, is he doing it? I did it my way? Yes, there were times, I'm sure you knew, when the yacht bit off more than it could chew. And through it all, yeah, I guess it would. I solved it all and I stood tall. I did it the great detective way.
kind of works. Mr. Sholmes, you can't use that song because this isn't Strangers of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin. Oh my god! What were those animations? What is it? You want to fight? Honestly, interrupting a fellow when he's singing. I was just about to reach the climactic finish. Look at him, he's so ready to go. Sorry, I thought you were never going to stop, so I figured now is as good a time as any. I very nearly dropped you to the floor with one of my famous right hooks. Come on, put them up. Fisticuffs, pal. Fisticuffs. All right, I get the picture. Now could you put those... It's Baritsu, right? That's his famous Baritsu technique. I get the picture. Now could you put those fists away? Mr. Sholmes, you seem to be examining something before we interrupted you. Ah, yes, that. I was immersed in the study of the ship's log as penned by the stockily built crewman, who's usually on guard here. Oh yes, the ship's log. Did you find out anything useful from it? Well, after 2 a.m. this morning, the majority of the entries are blank. Which means there was nothing to report. Nothing of note happened, so... You truly are a student from the land of the rising sun. You've been utterly blinded by it. Ha ha ha! Sorry. Your logic, my boy, is inverted. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? This song sounds like a Breath of Fire 4 song. Like, immensely. Like, this song in particular, I wouldn't... Who's the composer for this one? Because doesn't this game have a different composer? Great Ace Attorney composer. Because this sounds nearly identical. So it is Yamasu Kitagawa. Or Yasumasu Kitagawa. What else has he worked on? Oh, frick! He did Across the Border! This is the guy who did the song that I used as my opening, or sorry, my ending on YouTube for years. He did the, you know the one I used on YouTube forever that everyone would always say we don't know what that is. He did Leighton vs. Wright. He did Umbrella Corps. Okay, so he didn't do Breath of Fire, but he did a lot of, he did do a lot of, the, like, X Legacy Collection. He did the, yeah, a bunch of stuff there. Rockman EXE, 15th anniversary of the Virus Busting Remix, which is great. But yeah, he totally did, the theme that I did on my channel for years. Which, again, people had no idea what that was. Please play TVC. Observe the other pages and all shall become clear. It would seem the same crewman off-stands sentry in this first-class passageway. He has an almost religious practice of recording nothing to report every half hour. Oh, he writes that in every 30 minutes? Nothing to report? Precisely. Put simply, the seaman writes nothing to report when there is just that. And yet, the ship's log from last night is largely blank. He didn't even write nothing to report. Do you mean... Yes, there were circumstances afoot last night, which led to the seaman being absent from his post. What kind of circumstances? What happened? And that remains a mystery for now. But we can be sure something significant took place. So significant that it caused the seaman to forget his regular habit of scribing nothing to report in the log. These are important details. I would stake my life on it. You must search the ship's log in your mental file. Okay. Entered in the court record. Virtually no entries. Now that deduction was worthy of a great detective. You're starting to understand what my way is. Wow! That's the joke. It was my way. Right? What makes Sholmes Sholmes? Brilliance. Ha 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 ha. Ooh, ouch. What is it? Are you hurt? Oh, don't worry yourself. I seem to be afflicted with a throbbing head this morning for some reason. Nothing more. Okay, this is strange. Everyone. Well, my friends, until our next encounter. He's still singing to himself. I can hear it as he wanders off down the passageway. Something wrong, Susato-san? You seem lost in thought. It's just... well, I feel the same. Sorry? Ever since I woke this morning, I've had something of a headache. A sort of continuous throbbing. Oh, you too. Is it the engine that you can hear in the background going chung 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 chung? Because I hate that. I hate that. Okay, so we want to go back in here. God, that's such a nice feature to tell you where to go. Uh-oh, the alarm's ringing. What's that? Oh.
Shut down the engines immediately. Vessel sighted a quarter-mile 4. Full stop, hard to starboard. All hands brace for impact.
What the? I think we're about to crash into another ship. What? Oh, geez. I can't stand. Susato-san, hold on to me. Oh! Susato-san, are you all right? Are you injured at all? I think I'm fine. Thank you, Naruhodo-san. The stuff fell over again. Looks like we avoided a collision. I think... yes, the ship has come to a stop. Oh my goodness, what about you, Naruhodo-san? Are you hurt? No, I'm fine. Hello, is anybody in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... oh, Inspector Hosonaga. Is that you in there, Naruhodo-san? Unbolt the door, quickly. The bolt gets locked when the ship is about to crash. The bolt? Look at that. The door is bolted. Did you do that, Susato-san? No, I didn't touch it. Well, that's strange. How did... and look at the books. They're just like they were before again. Naruhodo-san, aren't you going to open the door and let the inspector in? I'd better tidy this place up first. I hope you record that everything moved. Our violent emergency stop had solved one mystery, at least in a very vivid way. But I knew that what awaited us on the other side of the cabin door would not be pleasant. I hurried around, tidying up the cabin with a new sense of foreboding in my heart. Oh, frick. Really? That was fast. That was really fast. That was a very short one in comparison. Yeah, we'll save. Shoutouts to multiple save slots. If you're someone who doesn't use all your save slots, you're a save slut. Yep, that's right, I called you out. 9th of January, SS Buria, Miss Pavlova's cabin. Somehow, the door to the cabin we were in ended up bolted after we made an emergency stop. Does that mean if nobody was in our room, is our room now locked? Well, no, it was the bolt's broken, never mind. Sato-san took a deep breath, then gently slid back the bolt.
You! What are you doing, Miss Pavlova's quarters?
You both look unhurt. Good. Yes, we're fine. Thank you. What on earth happened? We heard something about how we were going to collide with another ship. Yes, it appears to have been a false report, though. Oh, how did that happen? There's a dense fog outside, so it's extremely difficult to see. Someone must have thought he saw a ship ahead. This person obviously triggered the alarm, and that's why we made an emergency stop.
Everything is chaos. Passengers are screaming. Crew are running everywhere.
This first-class area is the only quiet part of the ship at the moment. Oh, I see. Someone triggered the alarm? Does that mean that someone pressed that button outside? Huh? You wicked intruder, dressed in all black. You are the devil. Sorry? Me? I've been called a lot of things before, but devil is first. I definitely don't have a raging demon. You opened my traveling case. How could you? What? No, we didn't touch it. That's right, Miss Pavlova. It was already open when we came into your cabin. Inspector. Yes? Arrest this man. I know he did it. He is a criminal. Is it not enough that he has killed a man?
Duh, and he is stowaway as well. If Vixen promises not to steal chicken, do you believe?
What? Take him away. He is a trespasser as well as everything else.
Stowing away, trespassing, killing. She is right, you are devil. It doesn't look good, does it? There is cell below deck. Throw him in. Tomorrow we dock in Hong Kong. Then we give you straight to police.
Wait, a cell? Please, Inspector Hosnagi, is there nothing you can do? This is a Russian vessel. I really have no jurisdiction here. After my last effort to appeal to the captain's good nature, I think I'm out of options. This is terrible. This is a real crisis. I've got to find a solution. Immediately. Let's rifle through your clothing. I just need to keep calm and focus on the task at hand, which is investigating. Don't touch my things.
You want me to show you where crawfish hibernates?
Oh. Did you... What? Mr. Naruhodo, what do you think you're doing? Wow! Everyone's attacking me. And I was just starting to think she was my friend. Okay. The answer is not women's clothing. Isn't there anyone who can help me out of this mess? Okay, let's see here. I swear to God, this is going to be a recurring thing, isn't it? My man is just going to be out and being a problem. What the? What are you doing up there? Wait. I hope this never stops. I hope him being a nefarious little fella never stops. Mr. Sholmes? Naturally, I was analyzing what a weight of 20,000 rubles feels like on one's head. Have I not told you that as a detective it is my business to know what other people do not? I am a pretty princess now. Ha ha! This isn't mere tomfoolery, my boy. Oh, no. Well, why were you hanging from that hook before then? Isn't it obvious? To properly assess the weight of 20,000 rubles, naturally. I wish to determine if it would bend the conceited-looking hook on the wall, so full of brag and bounce. I never know whether to take this man seriously or not. You again, the great detective. Inspector, I confess I've been looking for you. I have something to report to you most urgently. Well, you might try looking for me somewhere other than a hook on the wall next time.
What is to report? Speak!
An urgent report from a great detective can mean but one thing. Yes, the case of the curious murder that took place last night here on this vessel, the steamship Burya, has been solved. By me, naturally. What? Really? Yes, I've eliminated all other possibilities. No other explanations exist. So allow me to illuminate all of your minds. For I'm about to reveal my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case.
Here it comes. Huh. You have solved it. Even the hedgehog understands this case. We all knew who was responsible for killing student boy this morning when we found criminal in wardrobe. It is a stowaway, and he has handcuffs to prove it.
I didn't do it! The trouble is, there doesn't appear to be anyone else who could have killed the victim, because as everyone knows, the cabin door was bolted shut from the inside.
That means the culprit must be someone who is inside the cabin.
No, it actually doesn't, because it's not a locked room murder mystery when we've seen that the room locks itself. Yes, it's what's called a locked room mystery in detective stories.
The locked room, that is point.
The room was locked.
Well, I can't deny that.
No, it wasn't, though.
There's no way the bolt could have been...
Buddy, we've seen it happen. Buddy, we've seen it.
There's no way the bolt could have been drawn across from outside the cabin. You are quite mistaken. The cabin next door is not a so-called locked room. It's not. He's right.
What?
Oh, yes. There was an... Oh, boy. There is another entrance. An entrance used last night by the culprit in order to gain access to the cabin despite the bolted door.
What other entrance? We never discovered one.
Why, it gapes open-mouthed at you even as we speak. The ventilator, man!
The ventilator?
You think this is funny? I cannot even put my arm through the hole.
That's because your arms are as thick as tree trunks, my friend.
You're suggesting that the culprit entered and left the victim's cabin through that tiny opening? It's not possible. Ah, but it is. And last night, the victim even witnessed the intruder in the act of passing through the ventilator. Oh, she knows.
Mr. Sholmes, do you mean... Are you referring to the words Kazuma-sama wrote in his diary? 1:23 a.m. I can hear a faint whistling sound. 1:35 a.m. what looks like some sort of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill.
Precisely, my dear man. Okay, I think I've solved this. The snake went up, the snake bit or something, did something to Kazuma. Kazuma tripped and died, broke his neck in a bad way. And then, Nicolina went and brought back her snake, and then on the way, she pressed the emergency exit to shut the door. That seems pretty much probably what happened. Precisely, my dear madam. But what does it mean? What is this speckled band? The answer to that particular conundrum is in this very cabin. Hoo-ha! Hoo-ha! Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing? There's a distinct element of danger, but fear not, I am ready. What I'm about to expose for you all to see will shock you to your cores. Hoo-ha! Behold! What the? Oh, yeah, there it is. Allow me to introduce you all to the band. The speckled band.
Oh, my god, those are the marks that are on his face. Those are the marks that are on his face. He's used to this. A snake? Indubitably. What's its name, though? It better be like banana.
Okay. Mr. Sholmes, just one thing. Pray, what troubles you?
Well, that snake isn't really speckled, is it? It looks more stripy when you say... Oh. Yes, you're right. I think in this case, you'd have to call it the striped band, wouldn't you?
You both see and observe with distinction, however. Do you not think that is precisely the trap into which the culprit wishes you to fall?
Oh my goodness, really? It's a trap. How exactly?
I think perhaps it is time I explain the intricacies of my train of thought. Are you ready, Miss Pavlova?
I'm sorry for the young man who died, but that is all. His death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me.
There are two conclusions I've drawn from the facts. Number one, Last night, your friend infiltrated the victim's cabin.
Huh.
And number 2, that same friend was responsible for the victim losing his life.
No.
She's turned as white as a bowl of rice again.
Sholmes must be right. He's hit the nail on the head.
This young woman's friend killed Mr. Asogi. It looks like he can't speak with that snake coiled around his head. I would advise as little movement as possible, Seaman. You wouldn't want the fangs of that long friend in your neck. So, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. The Great Deduction. The game is afoot. Topic 1. Intruder's identity. Alright, let's see here. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. His death has nothing to do with me. The whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Oh, yes, she looks guilty. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, your aching heart smarts with pain. Oh, interesting. Huh.
It looks more like her hand. She's always holding her hand.
She's always holding her hand. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on the portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Yep. As I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing serpent we see before us, is it not? And yet, that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit the description in any way. I mean, I guess the scales are kind of speckled. What explanation can we then give, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? What are you hiding?
No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this.
Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Oh. Yes, that which you are trying and failing to conceal can only be the snake's slowed skin. Evidently, after the subtle and horrible crime, this most deadly friend of yours shed its original skin, no?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Last night, through the ventilator visible in the cabin, your then speckled friend slithered next door. Using the bell cord on the other side as a bridge, the serpent silently descended into the victim's quarters. I'm not changing that, I like that word. In the dim light, it appeared to the young gentleman who was about to lose his life as a speckled band. In summary, the nature of this friend of yours, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a rare breed of snake whose markings change each time it slows its skin. Is slow? I think it's slough. Is that a synonym for shed? Is that what British people say instead of shed? A snake so dreadful, we can only imagine to be found in the deepest depths of India. A beloved speckled snake. Oh my god, we're doing both. How Mr. Asogi died. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I've been apprised, it would appear there were no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstances of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. Now, if we take that as a fact,
We can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. The almost, but not quite, imperceptible puncture wounds left by the venomous fangs will seal the truth. Yes, the vestiges of the snake bite delivered by your terrifying friend. This makes no sense. There's no point feigning ignorance, Miss Pavlova. After the incident, you endeavored to hide everything, didn't you? But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in that traveling case. When we first met in this cabin, it came to my attention that your case moved periodically. This is long. Your serpent assassin was restless inside, no doubt. You don't... It is telling that the victim made note of a low whistling sound that he heard minutes before his end. That was your signal, was it not? The sound you had used to train your serpent friend. To train? Indeed, you'd put the serpent through this ventilator and wait. After a period, you'd summon it back with a whistle. That was like a Sonic Adventure 2 whistle. You couldn't know if the animal had done its duty, so you would listen for signs of life next door. If the victim appeared not to have been dispatched, you'd release a snake once more. Do you deny the snake has undergone such training? It's not true. Having slithered through the ventilator and down the belt cord, the creature needed only to sink its fangs in once. And its venom would course through the victim's veins, ending his existence forever. That is the true nature of the speckled band that took the poor young man's life. There can be no doubt. My logic is infallible. Alright, let's clean that up a bit. There's a couple things I can see we need to fix. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of the speckled band. Everyone's like, how do we tell him? Miss Pavlova has trained her pet snake as a killing machine. There on the floor, you will observe a saucer of milk. The promise of food is key to training any creature. Incredible! You've solved the mystery! Amazing. Your great deduction really lives up to its name. I see now why Herlock Sholmes has become such a household name. My dear man, it was nothing remarkable. As the Russians say, I could have done it with one left hand. Could I venture an opinion, Mr. Holmes? Sholmes? What am I saying? Oh, but of course, what's on your mind? What if someone's modded the PC version to just change the names to what they should be? It's just about your deductions before. Some things don't quite make sense to me. I welcome questions as to my method, and will answer both loudly and proudly. Oh, well, good. First of all, here's all the problems. Snakes are egg-laying creatures, part of the reptile family. You are well informed, madam. And reptiles, don't drink milk. Ah. It's really only mammals that like to drink milk, you see. So, I'm not sure it'd be possible to train a snake using milk as a reward. No matter. No doubt Miss Pavlova used some other treat to encourage her pet to do her bidding. Milk was merely an example. The logic holds. Well, there is something else. Snakes have no ears. Ah. Wait, what? What, really? Yes, so I'm not sure it'd be really possible to signal a snake by whistle. Can snakes just not hear? Wait. Can snakes hear? Can snakes just not... They can hear, but low frequencies. Okay, they can. They don't have external ears, but they pick up on vibrations. Okay. Okay. Neat. Very interesting. I like that. But madam, what of the tales from Arabia? Have you not heard of the snakes that dance to the sounds of a flute? I think perhaps the performers play the music in time with the snake's natural movements. Oh, I see. No hands, no feet, no ears. These creatures are so inept as to be practically useless. Don't take it out on the snakes, Mr. Sholmes. There's one other thing. You have more? Snakes use the scales on their belly to propel themselves. So, I'm not really sure that a snake could manage to climb up a flat bell cord like the ones in these cabins. Well, then it should try harder. Please, don't be angry with me, Mr. Sholmes. The point is, even if the snake had gone through the ventilator to the next door cabin, it couldn't have come back without help. What I'm trying to say is that there are a number of reasons why it's difficult to imagine that the snake could have had a part in this. Buddy! Oh, he's so defeated. She happy? I can't tell. She looks kind of happy. I think we need to step in and help again, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh no, you don't mean. Yes, we need to modify Mr. Sholmes' latest deductions and turn them into the great ones they ought to be. I had a feeling that was coming. Alright, let's give it a try. Just what I was waiting for, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, right. So, cast your eyes down to your wrists again. What? Oh, hey. You've done it again. Your handcuffs are gone. Where did they go? Fear not, I shall see the restored after our work is done. I really wish you'd leave them off. Now, everyone, let us begin. Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. Alright, let's clean this up. Course correction. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes. Alright, let's see here. Miss Pavlova, moments ago you claimed the following. Yes, we'll go through this pretty quickly here. This death has nothing to do with me. This whole thing has nothing to do with me. Yet you cannot deceive yourself. Yeah, you keep looking at your hands. Yes, you recall those hold events. Your aching heart smarts with pain. It's gonna be her hand. She does have a pained expression on her face. Yes, that's true. She looks as though Kazuma-sama's death is weighing heavily on her mind. But you're not sure Mr. Sholmes has read her quite correctly, is that it? Could there be some other way to interpret her expression, then? Let's take a moment and really look closely at Miss Pavlova. Oh, yeah, boom, right there, huh? Oh, Naruhodo-san, look, this looks like a very painful wound. But that doesn't look like a thing a snake could do. It looks like a scratch made by some kind of small animal. And fairly recently, too. Is there like a mouse that also happens to be on board? And that's her actual pet? And the snake is the pet of Stroganoff? Well, whatever scratched her doesn't appear to be around here. I mean, that's clearly it, though. Interesting. Yes, when you recall those horrid events, that claw scratch smarts with pain. Indeed, and simple observation reveals that the wound is fresh. Miss Pavlova, did you in fact receive that scratch sometime last night? Ah. When I think about the young man who died next door, I feel so sad. And when I am sad, the pain from this wound is worse. And it is that very pain that evidences your inextricable link to the victim's death. So we ask, what was the nature of this intruder that stole into the victim's cabin on that portentous night? Why, naturally, it was the friend with which you boarded this vessel, was it not? Yep. As I suspected, another telltale glance. Without doubt, your friend is the writhing... It's not the serpent. It's not. Seems likely that the scratch mark on the back of Miss Pavlova's hand was made by this friend of hers, doesn't it? Except, snakes don't have claws. Some do. There's actually some that have very tiny, like, vestigial arms and legs, and they're little, like, single talons coming out. Evidence of that, you know, they were lizards that used to have feet. There's a couple species that have that. No, they don't. They don't even have hands or feet on which claws might grow, aside from the couple species that I mentioned. Well then, if that snake isn't her pet, what is? What's the true identity of this friend of hers? We should follow her gaze, Naruhodo-san. That's where we'll find the answer. Looking for a mouse, looking for a mouse. Oh, or cat. Well. Yep, there it is. That's a good boy. There's a good little one. Look at the bell. Oh, look at the photograph in this frame. This must be something Miss Pavlova brought with her when she ran away. She's exceptionally beautiful, isn't she? Yes, that's true. But personally, it's the little black creatures he's holding that's caught my eye. Maybe we better take a closer look at this. Miss Pavlova? Well, let's check this. That must be a stage costume she's wearing. It's quite stunning. I should like to have something like that. She's wearing the 20,000 rubles on her head as well, look. It's called a tiara, Naruhodo-san, and you shouldn't think of it purely in terms of its value. She must be a strong-willed woman to turn her back on the world stage and run all the way on her own. Little kidder. Look at the little cat Miss Pavlova is cuddling here. Oh, what a cute little kitten. It could vie with you, couldn't it, Naruhodo-san? For the blackest outfit. Oh, I thought you meant for the cutest. A black kitten. And from the look of this picture, at least, Miss Pavlova seems very attached to it.
Yes!
Without doubt, your friend is the little kitten we see before us. Yes, the scratch on the back of your hand makes that abundantly clear. Oh no. The whereabouts of this little black kitten isn't clear, but what is clear is that you brought the animal with you when you ran away, didn't you? Ah! Darka is my best friend. I couldn't leave her behind. Darka would appear to be a Russian blue. And yet that fact leaves us in a quandary. The victim's written observations on the night in question tell of a speckled band, whereas regrettably, this specimen's markings do not fit that description in any way. What explanation can we give then, pray? What was this sight that fell upon the victim's eyes last night? No, don't look at me. This has nothing to do with any of this. Oh, but it does. You have the answer to this quandary even now, hidden behind your back. Now, what is that? Yes, that which you are trying but failing to conceal could only be a snake's slowed skin. Did you see that? She just took something out of her pocket and hid it behind her back. If she just left it in her pocket, no one would have ever known. Oh yes, ploys like that are Mr. Sholmes' specialty. He's ever so cleverly forced her to reveal something. I thought deduction was his specialty. Maybe making me believe that that was a ploy too. Anyway, I find it hard to believe that's the skin of a snake. In which case, just what is Miss Pavlova hiding behind her back? Yeah, what is that? Oh, is it a cat toy? It's a little kitty cat toy. Is there anything else to click on while we're here? Just taking a look. It's not a snake's slowed skin. Or is she actually trying to hide? Well, let's... Well, it is speckled, and it is a band, but... What is it? It seems to be soft and fluffy. A long piece of cloth of some sort. And that looks like a handle at one end. I think it may be a cat's toy. This sort is common in the West, apparently. How is that a toy for cats? Cats like to chase the band around and paw at it. Kittens in particular love that sort of play. You only need to wave it in front of them, and they pounce to catch it. That sounds positively adorable. Cat's toy. Oh, cool. So you then get it as the new thing. That's a cat toy. Yes, the thing you are trying but failing to conceal is, a cat's toy. Precisely, in the true nature of the now infamous speckled band. And it was this toy that you dangled through the ventilator. You waved it around, I presume. Naturally, the victim could not fail to notice it. So I'm super wrong. But why? For what reason? My dear boy, there can only be one answer to that. After her feline friend disappeared through the ventilator to the neighboring cabin, Ms. Pavlova attempted to use the speckled cat's toy to incite the creature to return. Ah. In summary, the nature of this friend of Miss Pavlova's, which last night infiltrated the scene of the crime, is a blithesome Russian blue breed of cat by the name of Darka. Ah. A truly troublesome feline young Darka is proving to be. She must be caged at once found. You will forgive us for borrowing the photograph of your pet, Miss Pavlova. Photograph of Miss Pavlova and Darka has been entered into the court record. It was after I gave her food last night. That's when it happened. She scratched the back of my hand and then ran up the bell cord. Before I could do anything, she had disappeared through the ventilator. Darka, she is so naughty. A beloved kitten. Solved, haha. Just like how I said. Well, obviously it can't be this then. Moving on, we come to the heart of the matter, the grim demise of the victim. How did this young man lose his life, and why? According to the data of which I have been apprised, it would appear there are no visible signs of injury. In fact, the circumstance of the victim's death can only be explained by a terrible venom. What Mr. Sholmes says is true. There were no signs of a wound anywhere on Kazuma-sama's body. That's right. Mr. Sholmes seems to be unaware of one very important detail. Kazuma wasn't poisoned. Yes, it would seem so. Let's give him the information he's missing now. Oh, he doesn't have the report, that's why. He doesn't have the post-mortem log. Yes! In fact, the circumstance of the victim's death can only be explained by the post-mortem report. Ah, yes, I knew it was one or the other. His neck was... Indeed, the breaking of the cervical vertebrae is fatal. Only that Goliath would be strong enough to survive that. Seaman Stroganoff isn't some immortal freak, you know. The jury is out. Anyway, we have on good authority that the victim's neck was broken. Now, if we take that as fact, we can reasonably imagine that there remains evidence to affirm it at the scene of the crime. Oh no, could there be? Yes, an examination of the deceased's body will prove the cause of death conclusively. Kazuma died because his neck was broken. In other words, he was probably struck by something, or someone. Yes, that's a distinct possibility. As of yet, no weapon has been found, though. Presumably, Darka didn't silently creep up behind Kazuma and deal a fatal blow. This isn't BlazBlue. I suppose. It's possible that he had a fall and hit the ground awkwardly. It could have been a terrible act of misfortune that he broke his neck completely by accident. Oh yes, a bad fall could explain it. It's rather hard to believe of Kazuma-sama, though. He wasn't a clumsy man. Well, we need to fix this deduction somehow. Is there anything from the scene that could explain what happened? Simple. He slipped. Yes! Mark on the floor. Yes, an examination of the mark on the floor will prove the cause of death conclusively.
This particular mark, so prominently visible next to the victim's body, is a deposit of shoe polish.
Shoe polish?
Indeed, positively identified by a little announcer to the device I constructed, which I carry now as a matter of course, rather. Beeswax, tallow, and dye were my results, the undeniable ingredients of shoe polish. And the color of the polish is a perfect match to the color of Mr. Asogi's laced leather shoes. Looking at this mark, it's not hard to imagine what happened. For some reason, Mr. Asogi must have caught his foot at the point on the floor and tripped.
Please, no.
And, by a dreadful turn of misfortune, caught his neck against some immovable object as he fell to the floor. Suffering a fatal blow to the spine, the victim's vertebrae shattered, and in that instance, he lost his life.
No! I don't know. I don't know anything about this.
Is that really true, Miss Pavlova?
Oh.
What about the evidence left at the scene where Mr. Asogi lost his life? Yes, the facts are as clear as day to me. You did all you could to conceal the incriminating evidence. But now your involuntary glance betrays the hiding place you chose. That's right, you hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in the traveling case. No, it's...
I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama merely tripped over and now he's no more? It can't be true, I refuse to accept it.
I know it's hard to believe, but the mark on the floor does seem to suggest that's what happened.
But...
And if this part of Mr. Sholmes' deduction is right, Miss Pavlova is trying to hide some evidence that would prove it. Here in this cabin, somewhere in the direction that she cast her eyes. Where, I wonder? Let's have a good look around. The answer must be somewhere. Tiara, drinks, wastepaper basket. Let me check.
It's a wastepaper basket.
Perhaps all the first-class cabins have them. Miss Pavlova only started occupying this cabin late last night. Presumably there's not much rubbish in there yet. Oh, frick! Well, there it is. Oh, what's that?
It's a broken piece of glass, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And I feel like I've seen it somewhere before. Is that the bell of the cat?
It looks familiar. Perhaps it's more than your mind simply playing tricks on you.
Yes!
That's right. You hid the evidence that links you to the victim's death in the wastepaper basket.
Ah!
Here we have a fragment of some intricate glass object, it would seem. One that has a familiar air, in fact. Precisely. We found another piece of broken glass on the floor in Mr. Asogi's cabin. And as you can see, the 2 pieces fit together perfectly, which is wild because there's clearly some extra pieces there.
Oh no!
So, Miss Pavlova, shall we consider what this tells us? Why would it be that this part of this glass object, which was evidently broken at the scene of the victim's death, should be found in the wastepaper basket in your cabin?
Ah!
You're well acquainted with this glass bell, are you not?
I don't...
I don't know, and that hushed Russian accent of yours won't save you this time, dear girl. Why? Because we have conclusive evidence linking you to the bell in question.
What?
Take it away, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes. The evidence linking Miss Pavlova and the little glass bell, that would be... Boom. Right there. Right there. Right here. If you look at this photograph, you can clearly see, hanging from darkest collar, the very glass bell in question. The truth has caught up with you, Miss Pavlova. The young man who lost his life last night did so after a truly inauspicious fall. And the cause of that fateful stumble? Your absent feline friend, Darka.
So it was literally an accident. This is the first time we're gonna, like, get to the end and it's gonna be like, actually, it was an accident. It's not anyone's fault. Wow. I couldn't tell anyone. I'm sorry. So yeah, she went to go get the cat after the cat surprised him and he died. And on the way out, she pressed the bell, which caused it to stop. Though how we didn't hear the bell, that might be a problem, but still, if the ship stopped or something, then we would have lurched forward and locked the door. Why don't you tell us now, Miss Pavlova? Tell us exactly what happened last night. It was a little after 1 in the morning. It was so late, but I hadn't had time to feed Darka, so I gave her some food. And then, all of a sudden, she scratched me and jumped out of my hands. People do say that cats become very anxious and nervous in new environments. She was so fast, she disappeared through the ventilator before I could stop her. And that is how you acquired the rather nasty wound on the back of your hand, I take it? Yes. I had read the, rules on the wall. I knew that I was not allowed Darka with me. Yes, modern science suggests that animals can carry infectious diseases. It's a precaution, really. So I listened and listened, trying to hear if there was some noise in the next cabin. It was very quiet. I was sure if someone was there, he must be sleeping. At that point, you thought it safe to try to lure the kitten back again, by dangling the end of the toy through the ventilator and into the adjoining cabin. Darka always loves this toy, but it didn't work. Nothing worked. I tried using her favorite toy. I tried whistling to her softly, but nothing. She didn't return. So the faint whistling sound Cosimo wrote about in his diary was Miss Pavlova trying to retrieve her pet. Cats have a propensity to remain hidden in the shadows when frightened. Yes, so there was nothing else I could do. I just had to wait until she had calmed down. But then... I nearly passed out with shock. I heard her cry out and then, oh, it was such a dreadful bang. Then afterwards, nothing. It was totally silent. Cosimo was. From the appearance of the brown mark on the floor, it seems likely what you heard was the victim stepping on the glass bell and tripping. The SS Buria is a large vessel, but even she can pitch and roll violently without warning. If Mr. Sogi was already off balance as a result of the ship's lurching when the kitten got under his feet, the combination of unfortunate factors could easily have caused him to fall over. But what became of the kitten afterwards? In the end, I managed to get her to come back through the ventilator. Yeah, Darka's nowhere to be seen. I must have forgotten to lock my case. That's okay, now we're back in lie territory. Because no, she went in there to get him and then shut the door. That's what I'm feeling. And now she's disappeared again. Gracious, that cat is as insufferably restless as I am. Well, he knows something about himself at least. When I woke this morning, I heard that the young man in the cabin next to mine had died, but I couldn't bring myself to tell anyone what had happened. I was too scared. Scared that they would send me back. Oh, hold on a minute. What about this snake? You're right, where is it? If the snake isn't your friend, Miss Pavlova, then whose is it and where did it come from? What? What on earth is such a dangerous creature doing on board this ship? Oh, I didn't say. Snake is my friend. His name is Piroshko. Is his name? Isn't that like? Isn't that pierogi pretty much? Piroshko. Is that pierogi? Pierogi's a good name for a snake. I like it. I'm Googling it. Piroshko. No, I spelled that wrong. Pirosh. Piroshko. Well, I type it in and it is actually it comes up with the snake from Ace Attorney. But okay, it's not pierogi. Piroshko. Let's see here. I'm gonna go to I'm the Ace Attorney fandom wikis here. His name is a play on piroshok, or piroshki, a type of puff pastry. Let me see. What is this? Is it so? It's not exactly a pierogi. No, it is like a pierogi. Wait a sec. Are you saying that pierogies in Russia are very different? Really? Interesting. But they're kind of like pierogies, but kind of like not. Huh. I mean, it's sort of the same thing. That's a good name. What? What? That snake belongs to you. He escaped from the cage when the emergency alarm sounded. I was looking for him. Did not expect to find him in here. Yes, how did that snake get into this cabin? But animals are not permitted on board. Ha! We are at sea for 1 year. You want to be so long without close friend? Without someone who understands? Couldn't you find someone a little more human who understands you better? But my dear burly fellow, a gargantuan venomous snake, surely you can appreciate the danger you're putting everyone in. No venom. Piroshko does not have venom. He is harmless. Very long, but very gentle. He is adorable, like Granny. It's venomless. Da. Now he is hungry, so he is in bad mood. But once I feed him, you will see big smile. And you feed him what? Milk, I suppose? Ha! Like they say, milk chickens? Ridiculous. Snakes that drink milk are only in stupid stories. Piroshko eat mouses. Big, fat, round mouses. Oh, so is that what the mousetrap in the passageway out there is for? Of course. How else can I catch my friend's favorite food? Nothing says top of the food chain like the look in their eyes right now. Sholmes did not expect this. It refuses to drink milk. It can't hear a whistle. It can't climb up a bell cord, and it's not even venomous. How the deuce did something so inept land a starring role? Okay, that looked like he got, like, Gmodded away. It's not my fault. I do not make up stories. My Piroshko has nothing to do with this incident. So that's what happened. That's the truth behind my best friend's tragic death. I mean, are we going to address the remaining plot points? Is someone going to? Miss Pavlova. I understand the difficult situation you found yourself in, and I do sympathize. But please remember this. A young man lost his life. If you're going to attempt to cover up your guilt with lies, then no matter what the circumstances, I cannot forgive you. But what are you talking about, Miss Mikotoba? What lies? Miss Pavlova just confessed everything. It was just a series of unfortunate events, an accident. I'm no great detective like Mr. Sholmes. I don't have a gift for knowing the truth. But even I can see that was not the truth. Don't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? To be perfectly honest, yes. There's a discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure of it. I just can't quite put my finger on it. Sholmes, you're acting a little more unmoving than normal. I confess, I was intending to let Scotland Yard deal with any outstanding issues on this matter. Oh! I'm only present here for a very specific reason. Huh. The truth is, you, Mr. Naruhodo, are simply a distraction. A distraction? I do hope you've not been finding your shackles too uncomfortable. Oh, well, we're back to this, huh? Not again! When did he do that? Especially as they're on your wrists as a result of my intervention. I was rather hoping I could resolve matters before we made it to our next port call. You were Mr. Sholmes? Yes, but I overlooked one important detail. The deceased young man was a very close companion of yours, was he not? Yes. Cosmo was my closest friend. I owed him my freedom even. In that case, we must follow this to its conclusion. No further distractions. You must uncover the real truth here, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, whatever that may be. The key to this is the discrepancy in Miss Pavlova's story, I'm sure. If I can chase that down, maybe the truth will become clear. The truth about how you really died. About this, how that scene in your cabin really came to be. Alright, I'll see what I can do. Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo. So then, shall we begin? Yes. What should we ponder first? The victim who lost his life in the cabin that was bolted shut from the inside. Was this truly an unfortunate accident? Was it in fact no accident at all? That is what we must establish in the first instance. But we've already established it, haven't we? The man tripped over the kitten that had climbed into his cabin via the ventilator. Tragic, yes, but still an accident. Are we just not going to court for this one? If so, this is, interesting that we're actually just solving it here. Wait, let's take a step back. It doesn't make sense if that's really what happened, does it? I'm gonna have to ask you to spell it out for me, I'm afraid. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Cosmo's chamber, it's undeniable. His death couldn't possibly have been a mere accident. Really? Let us show our hand, Mr. Naruhodo. Time to present the evidence. The evidence that proves Oh yeah, we're in court! Oh jeez! Okay. Yeah, why would he do this otherwise?
Yes!
Like, why would he do this otherwise? The truth is clearly recorded in this photographic print. There's no way that Mr. Hisogi could have left this message on the floor. That script, it's Russian, isn't it? Have you not seen the photo? Indeed it is. The word written means wardrobe. I see what you mean. Most people would leave a dying message in their native language, Japanese in this case. But maybe he was studying Russian. It is a simple language. He could have picked it up very fast. It's not. What are you talking about? It's not a simple language at all. That doesn't seem likely. That's actually not the point. It makes no difference whether he knew Russian or not. Sorry? What do you mean? Exactly what I said before. There is no way Mr. Hisogi could have left this message on the floor. And the reason why is so clearly explained here. Damage to the cervical vertebrae resulting in instant death. Instant death. Ugh! Yeah, you're not going to be doing much after your neck breaks. That's like kind of the quickest way to go. Which means, after the victim fell to the floor, he couldn't have possibly written anything, because he was already dead. That's not the only reason either. There's something else we found in Mr. Asogi's cabin. A remnant of something that couldn't possibly have been there if what Miss Pavlova told us is true. What? So Susato-san has noticed it too.
What is this?
Putting this message on the floor aside, there's something else that gives the truth away.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
I don't actually know what you're talking about.
Spy the speckled band.
Put this message, there's something else that gives it away. Another piece of evidence that proves this was no accident. In other words, what is this now? I can hear a whistling sound, speckled band. Is it the fact that there's no injuries? Oh, it's this.
Yes!
What point are you trying to make with that evidence? I'm starting to see how Kazuma's death really happened, I think. And you're starting to see nothing of the sort. And that was the evidence to prove it. Not that. If it was no accident, then what should we be looking for is one of two things. Either the absence of something you'd expect to see at the scene of an accident, or the presence of something you wouldn't. Most compendulously put, my dear madam. I see. What are we looking for? Confess your rather languid I see doesn't fill me with confidence, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't worry, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe in you. Well, more than Mr. Sholmes does, anyway. Yes, it's starting to take shape now. There's a clear contradiction between the facts and Miss Pavlova's story here. The evidence is right there in Kazuma's cabin. It's undeniable. What is it? I thought it was something in the cabin. Okay. First off, just to be careful, just to be certain. Okay, let's see here. Another piece of evidence that proves it. Whistling sound. Speckled band. Wait, didn't she... I'm actually not sure what it's asking us to find. My only thought is that didn't she say that she did the thing and then tried whistling? Right? Well, wait, let's see here. 1 a.m. and a little past 2 p.m. Wait. Sometime between 1 a.m. and a little past 2 a.m. Okay. Is it this? Proves that it was no accident. Says keep out. Not sure the Russian crew can read it. Diary of his trip. He spotted a band. Not the newspaper. I'm gonna guess it's this. Nope. Aw, classic Ace Attorney gameplay, baby. That's what we're here for. Alright. No entries. Cat with a tiara. Is it this?
Yes!
No. What are we getting at here? Because I actually don't see what we're getting at. Another piece of evidence that proves there was no accident.
Yes!
Paper seal? No. What are we getting at? Why can't I? What are we... Okay. This piece of broken glass next to the mark on the floor. But that's a glass spell the kitten had around its neck. We already know all about that. It was broken in half when the victim tripped over the cat and fell. So we already have a satisfactory explanation. Where's the flaw in that logic? Unfortunately, there's a very big flaw. A fatal flaw. What? If that's really what happened... Oh, how's it back here? Oh, I didn't even think about that, because I already jumped ahead in my conclusion of how it got there, but didn't think about the fact that it hasn't been brought up in the game yet. How did one half the bell end up back here in the cabin? Ah. Yes, remember that we found the other half of the glass bell in that wastepaper basket. Would you care to explain that, Miss Pavlova? Oh no. Both these pieces of evidence clearly point to the same conclusion. That when Mr. Asogi died last night in his cabin, there was someone else in the room. And that same person deliberately arranged the scene to disguise the truth, in order to cover up his or her own guilt. Yes, there was someone else present in Mr. Asogi's... Oh?
You're wasting time.
Wow, these guys, a lot more of them have voices than I thought for these lines.
Someone else was there? Duh, of course, we know this.
What are you talking about?
Bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. There was no way in or out.
Oh, yes. We know how this worked, though. He looked suspicious at that, making me think that he was the one who accidentally caused it to stop.
And the only other person in cabin was when young student died was you.
It's true, I was in the cabin when it happened. He was shut inside the cabin wardrobe, to be precise about the details. But I don't know Russian. There's no way I could have left that message. Not would have. There's no way you could have left that message, to be precise about the details. Would you mind? Ha 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 ha! Forgive me, my dear fellow. As I was saying, the person in question wrote the word wardrobe in Russian on the floor, in an attempt to incriminate me for the crime, even though I'd been asleep in there the entire time. And then, the same person picked up the broken glass bell that had fallen to the floor, for fear of it becoming evidence that would show how Mr. Asogi really died. But why wouldn't this person have taken all the pieces of the bell away? Leaving half behind was always going to raise questions. Yes, well, it was past 1 o'clock in the early hours of the morning. The cabin would have been quite dark. Oh yeah, the lights would have been off, too. The single small lamp suspended from the ceiling would barely have cast any light on the floor there. Little wonder, then, that the culprit failed to notice a fragment of the tiny item. You all suspect me, don't you? Where's Snake? Seaman Stroganoff!
Nina is woman of the sea. She is daughter of strong sailor. 2 years ago, they noticed her dancing skills and she went away to join ballet company. But before, she was dancer on this ship, a member of ship's band. You do not accuse ship's angel of being criminal.
Ah, so that's it.
You say that when young student died, Nina was there in his cabin. But that is not possible. I give my tooth.
Well, this is almost interesting. And why would you give your tooth, pray? How can you be so sure?
You are a great detective, you should know. Look truth in eyes. Cabin bulkhead was bolted shut from inside. Nobody could go in cabin. Not Nina. Not anyone. Or you want to tell me that killer can walk through locked doors? Niet! It's impossible.
Ah, he's right. If only we saw a way that the doors can close. But wait, I've read about this in detective stories. People often tie thread around door latches so they can open and close them from the outside.
Thread? Are you stupid? These bulkheads not barn doors.
Certainly not. These are watertight doors that one would expect to find on any modern steamship. Constructed of heavy steel with not a gap in sight. No threads or needles or magnets could have been used. No, of course not. I thought so too. But Mr. Naruhodo suggested it earlier, so... Sasato-san, how you shifted onto me like that? So Seaman Stroganoff has... I hate that name! So
Seaman Stroganoff has a valid point. The cabin door couldn't have been bolted shut from the outside. Not necessarily. What? I put it to you that I could bolt this cabin door without laying a finger on it. And in this very cabin, we can see traces of the method I have in mind having been used before. I don't believe it. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, I believe you know what I mean, don't you? A way to shut the bolt of the cabin from the outside? One way does spring to mind, yes.
Do you really know what Mr. Sholmes means, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, and so should you, because we've seen it happen. Indeed we have. So, would you care to do the honors, Mr. Naruhodo? Point out the telling signs of the method that was used to slide the... Yep, right here. Boop, 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 boop. Boom,
Yes!
Present that right there. Look at the bookcase there. See how all the books and things on it have toppled over?
That must have happened when the ship made its emergency stop before.
Yes, that's right. It's a very powerful vessel after all. When the engines are thrown into reverse, a violent jolt goes across the entire ship. Any small objects that aren't fastened down are bound to fall over.
I believe, yes, it's what's known as the force of inertia acting on the objects.
Is there nothing Susato-san doesn't know? I mean, or it's in the book, bro. Or that isn't in her book, at least.
Well, whatever it's called, the same force that pushed over those books on the bookcase also made something else in this cabin move. The bolt on the cabin door.
Ah, it was very obvious just after the emergency stop that the ship made earlier.
We had come into this cabin not long before and we hadn't bolted the door. But then...
Hello, is anyone in there? Shout if you need assistance. Oh, that sounds like... Inspector Hosanaga.
Oh, yes. That's it. When the ship stopped suddenly, the bolt flew across and locked the door.
Yes, it's made of metal, but it's small and light enough to be moved by the ship's sudden change of speed. Or the force of inertia, if you want to call it that.
Are you trying to say that last night, after Mr. Isogi was killed?
Yep, and then that locked the door and knocked everything over. And... locked. Yep. That's a terrible design flaw. Horrible.
The SS Buria made another emergency stop. When I woke up this morning and looked around the cabin, I thought it looked a little odd. All the books on the shelves had toppled over, and all the ornaments. It was almost as if someone had run their hand across the shelves and deliberately knocked everything over. Oh yes, I remember that. And I stood them all up again, didn't I? Then, when I came into this cabin, we were surprised to see the same thing in here. All the books and everything had toppled over, just like in Mr. Isogi's cabin. Oh my! Do you have anything to say about this, Miss Pavlova?
Are you out of your mind? You say Buria made emergency stop. It does seem a little far-fetched. How could that possibly have happened? Unless you're saying that the culprit is actually someone from the engine room. It looks like you, buddy. You look like you accidentally caused it. Oh, it is simple enough. Are you forgetting the button passageway outside? Used to trigger the emergency alarm?
Oh yes, of course. There was a notice, wasn't there, telling you to only press the button in times of emergency.
On dark nights, when the fog is dense, the captain cannot afford to rely on the eyes of his lookout alone, hence the placement of a number of buttons all around the vessel to allow any crewman to raise the alarm. A sort of button one is almost compelled to press to satisfy one's curiosity. Well, you know what they say, curiosity killed the cat, but Ace Attorney brought it back. Wait, it was you! When the button is pressed, two things happen in the interests of safety. The emergency alarm bell rings and the vessel comes to a complete stop. As indeed I did a little earlier today. So yeah, that was him earlier. So you broke the rules, buddy.
Mr. Sholmes, surely it wasn't you who...
As I always say, a button has but one purpose in life. To be pressed, whatever the occasion. He sounds almost proud of himself. How dare you mess with ship? I report you to Captain. You are in much trouble now. Now, I'm sure all that can wait until later. Let us not overlook the fact that we have now learned a valuable lesson. When the vessel makes an emergency stop, the bolts on the cabin doors slide closed. So, what we must now consider... Yes, it all comes to one thing now. Last night, after what happened to Mr. Asogi, did this ship make an emergency stop, or did it not? You are idiots! Borea is a huge ship with many passengers. We make emergency stop even in middle of night. There will be chaos everywhere. What are your thoughts, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, it's certainly impossible that some kind of emergency happened last night. We have evidence to support that idea. Really? What evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Fascinating. Do show us, my good man. What evidence promotes the theory that some emergency gripped this vessel last night? I mean, my thought is that's our headaches. Or... Let's see here. I mean, I'm thinking maybe this.
Yes!
Seaman Stroganoff. It's your duty to patrol the first-class area of the ship, isn't that right? Duh, that is correct. Why? In the ship's log here. This would be where you record the details of your duties? What are you doing with that? That is mine! Oh, you rather carelessly left it atop the little makeshift bureau in the passageway out there. But as responsible passengers, we took it into our care with a mind to return it to you later. I left it there on purpose. That is where I always put it. Put it always, rather. The point is, looking at what you usually record, it's clear that under normal circumstances, you write the phrase nothing to report every 30 minutes. But from 2 o'clock last night until first light this morning, nothing was recorded at all. Nothing recorded in the log. That is, because nothing happened. But if nothing happened, you would normally write nothing to report, wouldn't you? Well, my hand clipped through girl. Indeed so, which tells us that shortly after 2 a.m., something happened here aboard the SS Buria. Ugh. Something sufficiently significant to make you forget to fill in the ship's log, in fact. Are you suggesting that the ship really did make an emergency stop in the middle of the night? Stop talking rubbish! If I'm perfectly honest, I find that a little hard to believe myself. Oh, why? Well, because if something as major as an emergency stop really had happened, it was them wait, was it them trying to get Nina on, maybe? No. Surely all of us would have noticed. That's very true. Thanks to the emergency stop we experienced earlier, we all know what it feels like now. The ship lurched so violently, and the alarm bell was so loud, I can't imagine that anybody would sleep through that, even if it happened in the dead of night. Well, no, that's a good point. What of the throbbing? What of the throbbing? Seaman Stroganoff. Sorry, what do you mean? Your head, man. The throbbing of your head since this morning. We have all suffered with it. Huh. Oh, yes. I have had a headache, you're right. In fact, I haven't been feeling myself since I woke up today. Nor have I. My head has been feeling heavy ever since dawn. Yes, you've all been afflicted, haven't you? Just as I suspected. He's right, my head's been throbbing today, too. And since eating dinner yesterday evening, everything has felt sort of hazy. I can't really remember anything that happened after I climbed back inside the wardrobe. Then the first thing I noticed this morning was the throbbing pain in my head. I had already been dragged out of the wardrobe.
and had those handcuffs put on me by that point. Why didn't I wake up when all that was happening to me? Did everyone collectively hit their heads? Tell me, Mr. Naruhodo, you boarded this vessel as a stowaway, didn't you? Oh, well, yes, sorry. A stowaway class of accommodation doesn't usually include meals. What did you survive on? Oh, well, Cosmo looked after me. He was always happy to share his meals. So you enjoyed some of the whole roast chicken dish that was served yesterday evening, I take it? Yes, in fact. I had all of that. Cosmo wasn't fond of chicken. Oh, really? So the victim didn't eat any of the chicken at all? That's right. He didn't touch it. Is that relevant? Wait, was the chicken poisoned? My dear fellow, does that not strike you? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, do you mean to say that there was something wrong with the chicken? Oh, this is a surprise. I do. No, really? Is that really true? The meal prepared for the passengers of last night had been tampered with. Tampered with by the addition of a soporific. I'm guessing that's a type of drug for sleeping, designed to induce a very deep slumber in those who... Yo, did we have NyQuil chicken? Oh, shoot. NyQuil chicken can kill a man. A sleeping drug. Do you mean whoever did this laced every meal with a sleeping drug so no one would notice the ship's emergency stop? Mr. Naruhodo, of course that's not what Mr. Sholmes means. What a far-fetched idea. Precisely. Lacing every meal of every passenger on board with a soporific drug. I never... New one to the dictionary. A soporific drug would certainly be impossible. Unless, that is, every single member of the crew was a conspirator. What? Mr. Sholmes? Well, seaman... I'm sorry to say that any more deception in this matter will get you nowhere. If you refuse to talk, there would have to be an inquiry made through the shipping company, of course. And were that to happen, every member of the crew, and the captain himself, would be hauled over the coals. For aiding and abetting a renegade. Oh? Wait, are we going back to the terrorist? Please, no more. I will tell everything. I cannot make problems like this for everyone anymore. These crewmen are your former comrades, I believe. Yes. So when I decided to run away, I asked them to help me. We all agreed to help. Everyone together. She threw everything away. Her fame in the ballet. Mother Russia. We wanted to help our angel. I don't believe it. You are right. We put sleeping drug in chicken last night. Yes, I remember now. I did notice chewing on a lump of something strange and bitter at one point. Duh. We could not make all drug, how do you say, dissolve? Talk about heavy seasoning. At midnight in waters near Shanghai, we brought our angel on board. Oh, yeah, that was right. So they did drug him so that they could take her aboard. Okay, I see. He was helped by comrade on shore with small fishing boat. All the passengers of the SS Beria slept soundly, thanks to the almost magical effects of the slumber-inducing potion their evening meals had contained. So if that's what happened, the only people awake on the ship last night were the crew, people who disliked chicken, and a newly boarded passenger, Miss Pavlova. And that means it would have been possible for you. You could have used the emergency stop trick to lock Cosmo's cabin door. But how does that make sense? Surely every cabin door would have ended up locked in that case, and there would have been complete chaos. Oh, I wouldn't say so. What? Of course. Just like us, all the other passengers would have eaten their evening meal of chicken in their cabins, after which they would have been overwhelmed by tiredness because of the sleeping drug. Quite. And accordingly, all passengers were already in their cabins for the night. Yes. The overwhelming majority of passengers would habitually sleep with their cabin doors bolted anyway, and so not one of them would have found it remarkable to find the door locked in the morning. In summary, in order to fasten the bolt of a single cabin door on the ship, the culprit brought the entire vessel to an emergency stop in the early hours of the morning. Well, that's pretty much everything solved then, huh?
You have talked long time, and said many things. What is point?
The point is what I said earlier. There was somebody else present on the scene when the victim lost his life late last night. Someone who left a message in Russian on the floor in an attempt to incriminate another. Someone who tried desperately to hide the broken fragments of a glass that revealed the culprit's identity. And someone who abused the ship's emergency stop procedure in order to lock a door. All told, a busy night. But... I don't know about any of this. I am just a little girl.
You like to speak with your long English words and explain your clever ideas. But I am sailor, and sailors don't listen to long, boring stories we don't believe. Sailors like me, we trust only what we see with our eyes.
A laudable trait.
What? I don't know what that means.
I am capable of the same disposition, my good man. Observation to me is everything. Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes? Do you hear it? That accusatory cry of guilt on the wind. So... What accusatory cry of guilt? Sorry, you've lost me. Proof of involvement, man. But you can't hear such a call with your ears. No, you must hear it with your eyes, for observation is the basis of all deduction.
What are you talking about?
I believe the time has come for one final, logic and reasoning spectacular to expose the truth. Oh god, are we still going? This is so long! So, Mr. Naruhodo, your assistance, if you please. With what exactly, Mr. Sholmes? With observation, my dear fellow, just as I said, of these two prevaricators. Observation? If you remember, Mr. Naruhodo, we know that somebody tried to fabricate evidence, don't we? By tampering with the scene of Mr. Asogi's death. What we're looking for is some trace of evidence that one of these two was there when it happened. Precisely. You were delightfully quick to grasp my meaning. Alright, I'll see what I can see. So we're looking for a trace of evidence that shows someone else was there last night when Cosma died. Well, are you serious? Are you serious? Oh, look at this. It's some kind of stain in an unusual place. So it was him. Yes, you're right. It looks like ink, if I'm not mistaken. Ink. And look at the color, too. Clear where this came from. It's pretty clear. Immediately clear.
Yes!
It's so wild that a lot of this is just, hey buddy, can you turn around for me? Seaman Stroganoff. You seem to have quite a large purple stain on the back of your white uniform there.
Yes, I am. I don't know where the dirt comes from.
So nothing in particular comes to mind about the stain.
What are you trying to say?
It would appear that the significance of the stain has escaped your attention, Seaman. Allow us to make it plain. It's a very large purple stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform. And I think what made it is clear. Indeed it is. So, Mr. Naruhodo, present the evidence that proves it. My pleasure. Alright then, the evidence that proves what the stain on the back of Seaman Stroganoff's uniform really is. Boom, bam. Boop.
Yes!
Yes, it's this photograph and the ink it shows. That's what caused a stain on your uniform. Ink. A rather unusual color of ink. Purple. Ugh. Ah, the penny drops at last. Now you see the significance. The Russian... Oh, I can't say Russian without rolling my tongue now. The Russian word on the floor next to the victim's body was written in purple ink. And the stain on the back of your uniform is ink of exactly the same color. If the ink had been dry, it couldn't have possibly stained your uniform in that way. Which means... you must have been present in the cabin in the moments immediately after the ink was spilt.
Alright. Yes. It was me. I did it. Everything. I arranged everything in dead student's cabin to make it look like the wardrobe man did it. Then I pressed the button to make Boria do emergency stop and bolt cabin door shut. I did everything so no one would suspect our angel.
Biff, please.
Don't worry, Angel. Let me do talking. It was after 1 in the morning. I was on duty patrolling passageway. Then our angel came to me. She was white like sheet.
Better than brown like sheet, am I right? Hey. Biff, please, you must help me.
I went with her. The door to cabin number 1 was open. When I looked inside, I saw student boy on floor. What happened here?
Please, don't tell anyone. My little one, my little furry friend.
Everything that happened in cabin is like Angel told you.
The kid escaped through the ventilator into Mr. Sogi's cabin. Then he tripped over it and broke his neck when he fell to the floor?
Yes, that is right.
So after the incident when the cat ran away, Miss Pavlova then visited the cabin next to hers? Only to find its occupant lying lifeless on the floor. I kind of mix, I gotta be honest, the Hosonaga voice is like so... Hosonaga is like me doing an American version of the Sherlock voice, which is horrible because it makes me think of the American Sherlock show, which I should never try to think about ever again.
She said she was worried when she heard sound of something falling on floor. That's when she went to look. No, Angel. The door was not locked. So she opened to look, and you already know what happened after.
There's just one thing, if you wouldn't mind.
What?
When you went to Mr. Sogi's cabin, Miss Pavlova, was he already dead? Why?
I already told you. When Nina opened door of student's cabin and looked inside,
I was asking Miss Pavlova. Well, Miss Pavlova? Oh. Yes, that is right. I saw him. It was dark and he was wearing black, but he was on the floor, not moving. I was scared. I understand, and I believe you. So is that finally it now? Have we discovered the real truth about Kazuma's death at last? Huh, something very nearly slipped my mind. Oh, Mr. Sholmes? This photograph. Yes, I took this myself, you know. Okay. The cause of death was a broken neck. Therefore, the victim died instantly. And the unfortunate incident that precipitated these events? A kitten on which the victim stumbled. However, if those are the facts, there's one particular area in this photograph
It seems to be somewhat unnatural.
What do you mean unnatural?
I'm not actually sure where you're getting at this, buddy. What are your thoughts on this matter, Mr. Naruhodo? Huh? Oh, well, Cosma tripped and fell and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck. Which part of this photograph is the fact that is it the fact that he's on like his face? He broke his neck, you'd be going backwards, right? Or is it the finger? Is it saying that you put his finger through that and like that's the weird part? Let's see here. I'm not sure what this is getting at. There's two things it could be. Let's try the finger first, because I feel like that's the only real like point.
Yes!
This word in Russian clearly wasn't... Oh yeah, it wasn't written by Cosma. So if you're looking for something unnatural, that's the obvious point. Very true. It certainly is peculiar, but it's not what I meant by unnatural, I'm afraid. The particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. I mean to identify another point. Oh, I see. Is it the fact that how would they know that I was in the wardrobe? Imagine if you were losing your footing yourself. In my opinion, if you landed as the victim appears to have done here, it would be most unnatural. I'm sure you'll reach the same conclusion. How thoughtful you are, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you for your gentle guidance. Cosma tripped and fell and by some terrible stroke of bad luck broke his neck. Which part of this photographic print seems unnatural? Okay, so then is it the way he's lying face down?
Yes!
I'm guessing. Must be here, surely. Allow me to offer you a piece of advice regarding the pursuit of detection, my dear fellow. When noting a crucial point, it can be helpful to keep your eyes open. They were open. And it can be equally helpful to use them. Sorry. I'll try that again. I think it's plain what Mr. Sholmes means by unnatural, isn't it? The word written in a foreign language underneath his fingertips, surely. That particularly crass detail was orchestrated by the culprit. Now I mean to identify another point. What is it then? What are you getting at there, buddy? What are you getting at? What thing are you trying to make us consider? Is it this splotch here? No. What are we getting at? The fist?
Yes!
Alright. If he really fell due to an unfortunate accident, then this fist just doesn't seem quite right. I didn't even think about that. That was a guess. The exact same thought occurred to me. In a fall, one's instinct is to open the palms flat. Right. True. And here we see the victim with his left hand tightly balled into a fist. Almost, you might say, as though he were gripping something. What do you mean? Simply that I took the liberty of investigating the victim's fist a short while ago. You did? And what, pray tell, do you imagine I found there, my dear fellow? Mr. Sholmes, show us, please. Why, of course, my dear madam. Would I keep you in suspense? Oh. This is what I found. Oh. A crescent moon with a little gemstone in the middle. Yes, you're right. A crescent moon. It's very pretty, but what does it tell us? It tells us nothing. I'm not so sure. That crescent moon looks... It looks familiar somehow. I'm sure I've seen it somewhere before. Oh, jeez. Observation, Mr. Naruhodo. That is the key. What? The truth is now tantalizingly close. Huh. How did that crescent moon come to be in Cosma's clenched fist? This is the final clue, the last piece of the puzzle. Ask yourself, what does this little crescent moon mean? What significance has it? And observe, find the answer with your own eyes. Boop, boop. Huh. She has such petite ears among that beautiful hair, like little pink shells.
Oh, what's that? There's something dangling down from her ear. Yes, that's an earring. Wait, look. It's a crescent moon. Ah, there can be no those were modeled too detailed to not be a actual important thing. Like, they weren't given low detail, they were given high detail, so that's why I knew they'd be coming up at some point. I noted them. There'd be no doubt now, Shirley. Don't call me Shirley.
Yes!
Miss Pavlova, on your ear there. I see you have a crescent moon as well. Ugh. What? And on your other ear, there seems to be a crescent moon missing. The little link holding it must have broken, I suppose. Now what does this mean, then? Now, the missing crescent moon was found in the victim's clenched fist. Clearly, there's only one logical conclusion. Wouldn't you agree, Miss... Oh, was it saying that he was alive? Oh boy, Miss Pavlova. Mr. Sogi must have grasped that crescent moon and pulled it from your ear. Perhaps just moments before he fell to the floor. In other words, last night in Mr. Sogi's cabin, you witnessed the moment when the victim fell with your own eyes. In fact, you were quite literally at arm's length from him. Oh boy. But then the question is, why did Mr. Sogi do that? Why did he pull your earring from your ear and hold it in his clenched fist during his final moments? Oh no. Angel. No one can protect you now. Please, Miss Pavlova, tell us the truth. Last night, what did you do to Cosima? Shit! When I think about everything that happened yesterday, it was too much. Running away, the fishing boat in the middle of the night, trying to climb onto this huge ship. And then, when I was at last in this cabin, and I could relax after this horrible, long day. Darka, wait! I couldn't believe it when she disappeared through the ventilator. I tried to call to her with a little whistle. I tried waving her favorite toy, but nothing worked. Darka would not come back. Oh yeah, the door opened. What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine. The young man from your country. He was very polite and kind. He helped me to find Darka, and he promised not to tell anyone. But then, when I heard had my friend in my arms again, and I was going to leave the man's cabin. Just a moment, sorry, but... Oh, yes? I'm sure I know your face. I've seen you somewhere before. Ah! Of course. You're Nikolina Pavlova, aren't you? The Russian ballerina. Huh? No, I don't know that name. My heart nearly stopped when he said that. He knew who I was. How could this man from a land in the faraway east know a Russian ballerina? Yes, I saw your performance in Japan. The beauty of the ballet made a deep impression on me. But what are you doing on this ship? I'm sure I read that your ballet company was performing in Shanghai at the moment. I can't fool him. I have to tell him the truth and hope he doesn't tell anyone. I have no other choice. I see. So you run away. Please, please keep my secret. Don't tell anyone.
Give me a moment. I could use another opinion here.
He's going to pull the card. He's going to tell the captain. Why did I think I could trust him?
Oh no, he was gonna go talk to... No.
Then it happened. Everything at once. It was only a second, but it felt like forever. Wait, I shouted, and then... Darka jumped out of my arms and down to the young man's feet. And... as he turned around to look at me...
Oh! On the bedpost! Oh no, you actually murdered him!
I pushed him. I don't even know why. I don't know why I did it. I was just so scared. And I had to stop him from telling anyone about me.
Jeez. And that's when you went to fetch help? From Seaman Stroganoff, who was on duty out in the passageway. So you actually killed a man! I heard Nina cry out and thud on. This feels awful. Because, like, she escaped and now is going to jail. I heard Nina cry out and thud on the floor. So I ran to her. She was standing at cabin door, shaking like leaf. She looked at me and said,
Help me, Beef. If they find out I will be, please, I have nowhere to go.
You decided to help. And that's when you arranged things in Cosmo's cabin to make it look like I did it. So that no one would suspect the passenger in the cabin next door? Yes. I went into cabin and looked around to make sure there was nothing to show Nina was there. Well, you did a bad job, buddy. And then I found Stowaway in wardrobe, still sleeping. Right. That's when he found me.
So you worked out a plan to lay the blame on the stowaway.
I closed wardrobe doors and put back strange paper sign. Luckily for me, that's the only reason Sasato-san started to believe me when I said I was innocent. I dragged the young man's body to good place, and that's why he was like, oh, it was magic that put it back on. I dragged the young man's body to good place and used ink that was spilling to write on floor. I wrote... I can't remember what it was. Wardrobski. I don't freaking remember. So that person who found him would look inside wardrobe and find Stowaway. And tell me, what of the glass bell?
It was by my feet, so I picked it up.
I see.
But it was dark in the cabin. I didn't notice the other half.
Then Angel went back to her cabin, and I finished job. By pressing the emergency alarm button in the passageway? Yes. Accordingly, the SS Buria did indeed come to an emergency halt a little after 2 a.m., thus enticing the bolt on the cabin door to slide shut, creating the locked room mystery. There's still one thing I don't understand, Miss Pavlova.
What?
Well, you said that you told Cosmo about the fact you'd run away from your homeland. And it's because you were worried he was going to tell the captain that you pushed him. Isn't that right?
Yes.
But even if he had pulled the bell cord and called for the captain of the ship, aren't you friends with every member of the crew? Why would that have been a problem?
It was what he said first that made me scared.
What he said first? Oh? What are you doing here at this time of night, Inspector? Oh. I'm sorry. I thought it was a friend of mine.
He said an inspector was his friend.
Yes, meaning me, who was supposed to be acting as his bodyguard.
I thought that if police knew about me, they would arrest me.
So before he could pull the bell cord, May I stop you a moment, please, Miss Pavlova? It just doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, was Mr. Asogi really going to pull the bell cord? I don't know. What? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I'm not Kazuma, so I can't know for certain, but he was a man of his word. If he told you he wouldn't give your secret away, then he wouldn't have done. No, he was walking over to it. He was going to pull the cord. He was going to make them send me back. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, the day's work is not— Oh my god, are you serious? There's one more deduction to make. This is the longest for something that is so obvious. I actually don't really like this case. I think this case is pretty— I think the first case is the best first case in the series, and this case might be one of the weakest. Like, it's honestly kind of— It feels backwards. It really does. It feels worse than the first in almost every way. It feels way too obvious. It's very strange. What? Another deduction? Like, there's some okay moments, but I feel like it's kind of a— if this was cut in half for length, it would be a fine kind of mid-chapter with no court section, but yes, what action was the victim really about to take at that moment? Can we determine whither the young man's gaze was directed? Oh, I know what we're doing. First, consider the victim's location within his cabin. That's easy. I remember we detailed that room. I mean, yes, I spent quite a lot of time in that wardrobe, but still. That cabin has been my home for this entire voyage. Is this how the cabin looked last night when Miss Pavlova visited Kazuma-sama? Yes, it's exactly how it was. Are you ready then, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes. If there's one thing I've learned today, it's that a simple gaze can reveal all manner of truths. And not only that, in order to draw the right conclusion, you can't afford to be out by even a little bit when you're following the gaze to where it lands. So, when he turned away to Miss Pavlova, what exactly was Kazuma looking at? Yeah, the wardrobe, clearly. Clearly. A good music track, though. Considering everything that had happened last night, certainly it may have looked as though Kazuma was going to ring the bell cord. Yes, however, what is directly beside the bell cord? The wardrobe. The wardrobe? And more importantly, what was inside the wardrobe? The man's great friend, sleeping soundly. Miss Pavlova, please. Oh my god. Is it Pavlova because ringing a bell? Frick. Ringing a bell's a plot point, so it's Pavlova. Shut up. Oh my god, I just realized that. Please, think back very carefully. What were Mr. Asogi's exact words last night? Give me a moment. Or give me a moment, I could use another opinion here. Yep. Another opinion? Yes, but not from a member of the crew. No, Mr. Asogi intended to consult his close friend on the matter. To see if, between them, they might be able to help in some way, no doubt. Oh no! Sadly, we can't know the truth for certain now. It's too late for that. But I wish you had made sure of what Mr. Asogi was looking at. Things may have ended very differently if you had. Miss Pavlova? I want to thank you for finally admitting the truth. But unfortunately, the truth is, a man lost his life because of what you did. And that will never change. I hope you'll never forget that. I'm sorry. Really, I'm so sorry. What have I done?
And so, at long last, the mystery surrounding the tragic accident on the SS Buria was finally laid to rest. January, 7:14 p.m., SS Buria, first class cabin passageway. Well, hey, you recovered. Got new glasses. What'll happen to Miss Pavlova now, then? Once we reach Great Britain, she'll be handed over to the British police at Scotland Yard. What about the fact she ran away from Russia? Won't the Russians try to repatriate her? Apparently, the English detective can speak to the immigration office and sort all that out. Mr. Sholmes can do that? So she won't be going back to Russia then? No, I don't think so. Even if she wanted to return in the future, I doubt she'd be able to. She ran away, so now she's an exile for life. I see. I'm sorry. Seaman Stroganoff? I wanted to help our angel, no matter what. But I didn't think about you. About how you lost a good friend. I will go with Nina. I will give myself to British police. That's kind of you. In the meantime, thank you for letting me go free again. Cosimo's death feels like such a waste. It does. It feels like such a waste. I feel like not only just the fact that he died so quickly, which I mean was kind of expected but kind of not, but also the fact that, like, dang, he died in such a stupid way. And I don't mean that as a criticism 100% of the game, but like even the game's like, man, that sucks. Like it's part of the story. It's on purpose. Like it was such a unneeded death. But well, do what you can for Miss Pavlova, won't you? Duh. Well, I'm afraid you need to pack now. We're due to arrive in Hong Kong tomorrow. As much as it pains me, I'm going to have to hand you over to the consul to arrange your passage back to Japan. Yes, I did stow away after all. I couldn't really expect any different. So, you should get back to your cabin now. And looks like my study tour to Great Britain is over before it's even begun, which we know won't happen, so... To think that only days ago, Cosmo and I were laughing together about how we'd tear up the streets of London. That seems like a distant memory now. Oh, what's that? Is it someone weeping? Oh. Oh. Sasato-san? Naruhodo-san, I didn't know you had returned. Oh, well, I haven't been back long. Inspector Hosonaga just told me I should pack, you know, ready to leave the ship tomorrow and all that. Oh, I still can't believe this has happened. I can't believe someone's life can be over. Just like that. Sasato-san. He had such grand ideas for this visit to Great Britain. So many dreams. And now they've been cruelly taken away, just as he has. I thought I could never forgive the person responsible. But now we know the truth. That it was just an accident. Just a silly series of mishaps. It's too much, Naruhodo-san. It's just too much. Yes, I know. I swear to God, if this is him walking in, he's like, surprise, I actually survived. I would be mad, but this is probably Sherlock Holmes. I wish there was something I could say. Oh no. Inspector, you have the same voice as him, just with a slightly different accent.
My duty was to see Asogi-san safely to Great Britain, but I failed and caused his two closest friends great pain and suffering as a result. I've let everyone down, and I will do anything to make up for my terrible blunder. Nobody blames you, Inspector. And I'm free again now. I was gonna say, is this a mental thing? Are we like shackled to the guilt of this happening? I see you're all in mourning. How cringe. Hoo-ha! Here to lighten the mood, everyone. Surprise, Mr. Naruhodo. What is the meaning of this? We're trying to have a moment here. Oh, a trifling matter. Simply that in my head I think I shall always picture you wearing those shackles. Without them, the balance seems all wrong. It's distracting. Sorry? So I decided to restore them, for old time's sake, shall I say. You are a stowaway, after all. He thinks this is funny? Mr. Sholmes. We do appreciate all your assistance. I'd like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Not at all, not at all. And though it's a little late, may I offer my sincere condolences. The loss of your companion is truly heartrending. I hope that you will be able to fulfill some of his aspirations in his honor. I'm afraid that won't be possible. We shall be disembarking at the next port in Hong Kong. We have to return to Japan and make a full report about everything that's happened. What? Wait a minute. It's just me that has to go back, isn't it? I mean, I was a stowaway. The terms of the study tour were negotiated by the Department of Justice in both Great Britain and Japan. It was to be one lawyer and one assistant. Was to be? In the light of Mr. Asogi's unfortunate death, I'm afraid that the study tour can no longer go on ahead. Oh no. I don't care for me, but... Poor Sasato-san. My dear fellows, the majority of problems have an extremely simple solution, you know. All you require is one lawyer, and the study tour can continue, surely. But there is no one else with the necessary qualifications, Mr. Sholmes. We know of no other lawyer. Qualifications, you say? Any qualifications obtained in your own country will be of little value in Great Britain, I'm afraid. Oh, but anyway, the voyage to London still promises a good month of time. Ample opportunity, I would say, to find yourselves another suitable lawyer. Yes. Miss Sasato? Yes. Do you think perhaps I might be able to do it? But you're not a lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, unless... Are you studying law? No, I'm not, but... I'm sorry, in that case, I don't think there's even a chance it could work. But as I said, there's still more than a month before we reach England's shores. Isn't that right, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I have a month in which to study, to learn what I must to become a lawyer in Great Britain. Mr. Naruhodo? That's ridiculous. Are you seriously suggesting anybody could learn all that in just 40 days? There's only one way to find out. I would work my fingers to the bone, Inspector. Every single day. Will you let me try? And if by the time we reach Great Britain, I haven't learned enough to be recognized as a lawyer, I'll take whatever punishment is deemed appropriate. But why put yourself in such a difficult position? For Cosma, he said that there was something he had to do in Great Britain, and that he would sacrifice anything to make it happen. He was passionate about it. I can't let all that passion just come to nothing. And anyway, it's for my own benefit too.
I will become a lawyer. I have to. What do you say, Miss Sato? Oh, a genuine smile. I think it's a wonderful idea. Thank you. So, what does our bespectacled inspector friend say? Are you serious? One lawyer and one assistant. The numbers are indisputable. No, it's madness. Yet fascinating, wouldn't you agree? Fascinating? Duty and rules are the dull routine of existence that we all abhor. Give us interest, give us fascination. Speak for yourself. Besides, qualifications are no measure of a man. What matters is his character. No? And you've witnessed ample evidence of this man's exemplary character today with your own eyes. From the early hours of this morning until this very moment now. Despite contending with the passing of his close companion, and despite the accusation of guilt, this man has shown resourcefulness, intelligence, and above all, courage. Very well. I'll think of a clever way to word my report to the Department of Justice. Inspector! After all, I did just make a promise, didn't I? I said that I'd do anything at all to make up for my shortcomings here. Oh, thank you, Inspector. If you'll excuse me, I must pay a visit to the captain's quarters, I think. I need to discuss what to do next and how best to make my report. Are you really prepared to attempt this, Mr. Naruhodo? Yes, I'm gonna try. I wonder, would you consider teaching me what I need to know? Everything about being a lawyer? I would be delighted to help you. I am a judicial assistant after all. Thank you. And, Mr. Naruhodo? I'd like you to take charge of this. What? Me? Are you sure? I'm sure it's what Kazuma-sama would have wanted. Its name is Karuma. It's a great sword that's been in the Asogi clan for generations. Very well. I accept. I'll treasure it always. So then, Miss Sato? It seems we'll be working together for some time to come yet. It will be an honor, Mr. Naruhodo. And for the next 40 days, I shan't grant you a single minute of freedom. We shall fill every spare moment with study. Yes, that's exactly what I need. But before we begin, I have an earnest favor to ask of you too. Goodness, what is it? Please throw me to the ground. 3 times. To make up for it? What? I should never have doubted you. You were Kazuma-sama's closest friend. Of course he would never have done anything to hurt him. That should have been obvious to me from the start. But I allowed suspicion to get the better of me, and no matter how upset I was feeling, it was completely unforgivable behavior. No, you were in shock. You just found out about me stowing away, and no, I won't let you make excuses for me. Whatever the circumstances, I should never have thrown you, and not just once, but 5 times. That number keeps creeping up, doesn't it? Please, you must. Just take hold of me and throw me. Do it. Don't even think about it. No. I don't even know how. I've never thrown anyone in my life. Very wise, Miss Naruhodo. It isn't a skill one acquires without considerable training. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. I observed your throwing technique several times with great interest. I confess I was most impressed. My Baritsu isn't that good. When did he see that?
I presume that would be a form of Japanese wrestling.
Oh, well, in a way. It's not wrestling, but my own interpretation of an ancient jujitsu technique. Jujitsu, you say? My god, that sounds like Baritsu.
Apparently it's called the Susato takedown. It leaves your head swimming. Believe me.
How beguiling.
I'm a practitioner of the combative arts myself. I'm somewhat of an accomplished boxer. Pow pow. Not afraid to knock a woman out. There he goes, dancing around again. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to instruct me on the technique of your arresting throw.
Yes, I'd be honored.
Then let us not dally. Demonstrate, my dear madam.
Oh, of course. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo?
Sorry? Hi, oh, on me! Not on him. On me.
As you can see, you throw from the abdomen. Oh yes, arresting indeed. And that is what you term the Susato takedown, is it? Actually, no. That was a Susato squash.
In my groggy state of consciousness, a scene from an evening recently spent with Kazuma flickered into my mind. Karama? That's right. It's a prize sword that's been passed down through generations of the Asogi clan. I can't believe you managed to get permission to bring it with you. I mean, taking a katana on a study tour is more than a little irregular, surely. A Japanese man's sword is his soul, Ryunosuke. Can't be parted from my katana. Karma guides me. I truly believe that. So its name compels its wielder to slice evil in two? Not that you would need much compelling. On that subject, there's something very important that I have to do in Great Britain, and I'll sacrifice everything to make it happen. I'd appreciate you seeing it through with me.
Of course I will. Whatever it is, I'll see it through to the end with you.
I knew you wouldn't let me down. That important thing he had to do. I still don't know. I was gonna say, did you learn? I still don't know what that was. Oh boy. But I'm gonna see the place for myself and work it out. In Great Britain's capital, London. That's the end. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty bad chapter in comparison. I feel like that's a pretty rough one. I think it's because by trying to make it a locked room murder and not even going to actual court, it kind of really made it small, if you will. Like, it made it... The stakes were too high, us losing a friend, for a very squashed tale, if that makes sense. Kind of wish it, like, because I kind of, like, I didn't know he was gonna die. I didn't actually know. But I felt like he was going to. And he did. That wasn't the surprise. The surprise was the fact that it was over something seemingly so mundane. Doesn't feel right. Bit of a shame. Oh well. At least I've heard that the next one, I think the next one my friend said was a really good one, so that's exciting. Next time, the adventure of the runaway room. We will move on to that as we head over to London. Next time, guys, we'll see you then for some more great Ace Attorney adventures. Ciao.